Okay, well, hello, happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to another fun-filled spring semester. It's the evening before the opening day, and I'm Profesor Cañedo. I'm the man running the show, so to speak, the sort of the guy behind the curtain, like the Wizard of Oz, El Profesor Cañedo, El Maestro, whatever term you wish to use, and I'm really happy to be here, excited to be with you guys for these next few months as we examine the various trends, themes, people in the scope of modern United States history. We'll be going from the years right after the U.S. Civil War up until modern times. So anybody and everybody who's in that range from William McKinley and Theodore Roosevelt on through present day people, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and of course Barack Obama. We'll be looking at many people along the way, and I'm really happy that you guys are going to be with me as we get going on this ride, so to speak. Okay, well, in this introductory video, I'm going to go ahead and spend quite a bit of time going over not just the class itself. I'll do that in just a few minutes here. That'll be coming up in the roughly about the second part of the video. But of course, I'll say a few things about myself, my interests, my background, what I like to do when I'm not the professor, el profesor. And after I get through that, then of course I'll say a few things about the class. This will be the first of many videos throughout the course of the semester. I will have a lot more detailed videos in which I describe the various assignments, especially the writing assignments. Also, which have to do with a podcast assignments. There's an assignment in which you have to get access to iTunes. I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. And we also have a big discussion assignment, discussion project, which won't kick in until the end of the semester. I made quite a few changes from the fall semester class. I dropped a few things. I brought in a few things, but for all intents and purposes, the scope of the class itself has largely remained unchanged since I started doing more of these online sections of this class, dating back about 6 years ago. All right, so I'll talk about the class in a few minutes. Let me go and say a few things about yours truly, and. And to do that, let me say that besides teaching this class, I also have a section of the California class, the History 124, going on this semester. I also do a lot of work over at San Diego Mesa College, so I've got two sections of Chicano Studies 141A, which is the early part of the Chicano Studies sequence. And then I also have classes at Southwestern College in the early Mexican American Studies class. So basically the same thing I'm doing for Mesa College, I'm doing for Southwestern College too. And in those classes, I get into a lot of the Aztecs, the Maya, the arrival of the Spaniards onto themes such as the U.S.-Mexico War. Essentially, topics which create the formation of what we know today as either the Mexican American people or the Chicano people. For the most part, I tend to use those terms interchangeably. Um, as for my teaching interests, my background, I'm a native of Southern California, native of the Southland, born and raised in National City. Actually, my elementary school, middle school, high school was in the South Bay. I'm a graduate of Hilltop High, and after graduation, I went on to UCSD, where my BA is in anthropology, and then after that, I went on to San Diego State, and my MA is actually in Latin American Studies. My teaching interests, the topics I like to get into, it's a wide range of topics. So like I said a few minutes ago, whether it's the Aztecs, the Maya, early Mesoamerica, or topics such as manifest destiny, the 1850s, topics which relate, of course, to the History 108 class, and onto modern topics, especially labor-based issues, especially the works of people like Walter Reuther and Diego Rivera, the famed Mexican artist, whose works really touch upon a lot of themes such as labor and industry. We're going to see quite a bit about Rivera a little bit later on, about the halfway point of the semester. And I've got a couple of items in the class pertaining to music, which I'll touch upon in just a few minutes when I talk more about the parameters, the guidelines, the scope of the class. As for outside interests, I mentioned music, so let me go ahead and say a few things about that. Um, since I'm a product of the 1980s, so of course all the rock and roll, the heavy metal or the hard rock, whatever term you wish to use, back of that era, whether it's Rush, Def Leppard, Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Rat, all of that fun stuff. That's stuff that I definitely grew up with. But I also like a lot of the 70s stuff. So whether it's early to mid 70s Aerosmith, Deep Purple, the Eagles, ZZ Top, Steely Dan, all of that stuff. I'm a big fan of that too. But over the past couple of years, I've gotten into more of some really older classic stuff. I'm talking about jazz of people like John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Thelonious Monk, Stan Getz, Dave Brubeck, all of that stuff. And I'm actually going to touch upon some of those guys in just a few minutes here. So just bear with me for that as I talk more about the class. Um, as for pets, as for fuzzy friends, I have several. I have 3 cats. 2 of them like to be outside. But there's one cat who's in here all the time. That's my silver Persian. She's probably sleeping right now, but I'm sure in the course of the semester you'll get to meet her and probably some of my other fuzzy friends. As I also like to record a lot of these videos outside in my patio. And there's also a canine pal. That's my cocker spaniel. I don't know if you get to meet him during the course of the semester. He doesn't get along with one of the cats, so I tend to keep those guys separate. Um, let's see what else I should mention. I mentioned a few moments ago that I was born and raised in the South Bay in National City, so San Diego area I know very well. I know the area well my entire life, but I actually don't live in San Diego County anymore. I'm just up the road in Riverside County. I'm in an area called the French Valley, which is north of Temecula, east of Murrieta. It's an unincorporated patch of Riverside County, which is roughly bounded by the 79. The French Valley Airport, and also Lake Skinner to the east. So for those of you who travel to places like Moreno Valley, Hemet, and maybe you've taken the 79 from Temecula, my area is roughly about a third of the way along the 79 between Temecula and Hemet. I've been out here for about 2.5 years now, so even though it's definitely quite a change, quite a culture shock from National City, where I lived virtually my entire life, I really enjoy out here, and and I don't mind at all being, you might say, in a semi-rural area, but I do go to San Diego quite a bit. Especially if I have on-campus classes, which I don't have this semester, but I wouldn't be surprised if I have a couple of sections coming up for the fall semester. And of course, I still get together with a few of my high school friends, and my father is down there in San Diego County too. He's out in the East County, but we get together quite a bit in places like in Chula Vista, East Lake, Otay Ranch, those areas. Let's see, anything else I should mention about myself? Oh, one final thing. Sports, you probably noticed, those of you who are hockey fans maybe noticed this. I'm definitely a big fan of the Detroit Red Wings. I go to Detroit once a year, every other year, and when I do go, especially if it's in the fall or the spring, I try to check out a game, and I was lucky enough to go back there back in November, this past November, and I happened to see 2 games there. And I'm actually going back to the Motor City in April. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that trip as we get further into late March and into early April. But that trip actually has connections to what we're doing in the class. I'll talk more about that. And the playoffs should be going on, so if the Wings are in the playoffs, that'll roughly be about the time of the first round. I'll definitely try to sneak in, or well, not sneak in, but of course pay my way to check out a first round playoff game. But I like the Ducks too. I've been a big fan of the Anaheim Ducks, so if there's going to be a Ducks Red Wings Stanley Cup final, I'll definitely be quite a happy camper, so to speak. Baseball, I'm a big fan of the Tigers, but I like the Dodgers too. I know those of you Padres fans aren't exactly too happy about that, but being up in Riverside County and getting all the Los Angeles news for 2.5 years, I guess you could say that all the news of the Dodgers kind of overtook maybe my memories of the Padres. And of course, a lot of my high school friends aren't too happy about that I've become sort of a turncoat. But as long as I haven't made the transition to being a Raiders fan, then they'll forgive me for that. Speaking of football, not really a big football fan per se, but I do like the Lions. I was disappointed that they lost in the playoffs, but looking forward to seeing them do bigger and better things coming up in the future. And basketball, I'm not really a big basketball fan per se. Pistons aren't that good, even though they had a pretty good winning streak. But I do like the Clippers. I liked them a lot when they were in San Diego back in the days when World B. Free was playing. So those of you who have a knowledge of basketball history, we're talking about going way back in which those guys were around. In fact, the Clippers have been out of San Diego for over 30 years, so you can imagine that you might say that El Profesor is dating himself in that respect. So that's all I pretty much want to say about me. That's El Profesor in a nutshell. But undoubtedly, as we get further and further into the semester, you'll hear more about me with either these future videos or when I post things in the announcement section in Blackboard. All right, so that takes care of the introductions in terms of what I'm all about. So let's go ahead and find out more about what the class is all about. And let me see if I can try to fix the lighting here a bit here, because I think that kind of looks like a film noir here. That it looks like almost like something from the 1940s or the it was 1950s film. Okay, that's a little bit better. But for future videos, I tend to film more of these videos during the daytime. It's only in rare occasions when I film at night, and this is definitely one of those rare occasions. All right, let's find out about the class, and to do that, I've actually got my little MacBook right here off to my left. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my MacBook. So if you if you're watching this video on a desktop or laptop, and maybe have another computer or your mobile device to look at the class, then by all means go ahead and do that. But right now I've got the syllabus queued up, already linked into Blackboard. When you go into the class, when you go into Blackboard, of course, announcements will be the first thing that you see. So right now, the video the video right now is embedded within the opening day announcement. But like I said, I'm in the syllabus section right now, so I'll quickly go over all the main points, and then get into more detail about the assignments, the quizzes, the final exam, all of that fun stuff. So, course overview, of course, make sure you're in History 109. There's the section number 7792. There's a mugshot of me when I was in Washington, D.C. for a conference at the Library of Congress. This is in January of last year. Course goals, student learning outcomes, basically the objectives that we're going to be trying to address here. Course prerequisites, of course, undoubtedly make sure you've got a high-speed cable, or if you're still using DSL, make sure you have a really good good connection, a good fast connection, because undoubtedly you don't want to have something slow, especially something as ancient as the dial-up. I know when I first taught some of these classes, these online classes, back in 2003, 2004, I was actually using in some cases dial-up modems for some of those early classes. So it was definitely an interesting experience. That's definitely what you would consider to be bare bones type of thing when it comes to trying to convey the information. But thankfully, those days are long gone, and we've got a lot more high-speed stuff to help deliver this, to make sure that the information, the topics are delivered in a much rapid manner. All right, textbook. There's only one book you need to worry about. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy with me, but make sure you get Volume 2 of Who Built America by Roy Rosenzweig, and several other authors. This has been my standard book for the better part of about going on 6-7 years now. So I've used it for quite a while. I see no reason to change it. So definitely. You should have no trouble finding a copy of this. The cover features some of the female workers, the Rosie River workers during the World War II era. So it's a very distinguished, a very striking cover. So again, make sure you get the Volume 2. Don't get Volume 1. Volume 1 is, of course, is for the History 108 class. which I'll most likely be doing in the fall semester. So just get volume 2 of Who Built America, and that's it in terms of what you have to buy for resources for the class. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the assignments. Again, I'll go over these assignments quickly. I'll give you a quick sketch about them in future videos. I'll give you more details in terms of what each assignment is all about, specifics, parameters, due dates, expectations, what to do, what not to do, those types of items. Those will be featured in subsequent videos. All right, your first, in terms of writing assignments, you have 3 main writing assignments. And what I'll do is I'll talk about 2 of them, and then I'll talk a little bit about the other assignments, the discussion assignments, the journal assignment, the quizzes, and the final. Then I'll come back and talk about the 3rd assignment at the end of that set. And the reason I'm doing it a little bit out of order is because this 3rd assignment is something new and unique and quite, you might say, dramatic. But I'll save that for later. First, let me talk a little bit more about the general, the basic assignments. First, you've got a book review assignment. So what that means is that during the course of the semester, at the end of each chapter of Who Built America is a list of suggested readings. These are books which focus in on specific topics pertaining to that particular chapter that we looked at. So, for instance, some of the earlier chapters in Who Built America pertain to topics such as early industrialization after the Civil War. Some of the early titans of industry like Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, a little bit later on, of course, Henry Ford and Thomas Edison is in that mix. And, of course, the Native American Wars, the Indian Wars. So events like what happened at Wounded Knee, and other tragedies which befell the Native American peoples. These are some of the topics of books that you'll be seeing at the end of each chapter. Likewise, when you get toward the end of the semester, when we get into topics like the 1980s, 1990s, you have books pertaining to Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, the end of the Cold War, Mikhail Gorbachev, and of course Bill Clinton. Terrorism, 9/11, George W. Bush, and of course finishing off with the emergence of Barack Obama in his first election in 2008. So you got a wide range of topics to choose from. So what I want you to do is make sure you choose a book from the suggested readings at the end of any of the chapters from the Who Built America text. From time to time, I'll give you suggestions in the announcements in terms of, well, I like this book, everybody. This is a good one to check out. This is a good one too. I highly recommend that one, blah, blah, blah. So I'll do it from time to time. But again, your job is to make sure that your book is from the suggested reading list in Who Built America. That's at the end of each chapter. So once you get ready to choose your topic, then let me know. Let me know as soon as possible. The due date for this thing is not until the end of the semester, so Thursday, May 21st. You got plenty of time to work with. But so I would suggest that maybe after we come back from spring vacation at the end of March into beginning of April, start thinking about your topic, and then let me know which one you want to pursue. So I think ideally, if you let me know about maybe about a month before the due date, that'll be a good time frame. So again, more details about that are in the assignment section. I have for our writing assignments and for all the main assignments, there are assignment worksheets in PDF format. Download all of those so you get a better idea as to what each assignment is all about. I don't think I need to give you a separate video about the book review. It's fairly self-explanatory, so the assignment worksheet pretty much covers all the bases in terms of what you need to do. All right? Okay, the second major writing assignment is called the Ebsco article review, and this one is due a bit early. This is due at the end of April. What you do is you go to the Grossmont College LRC, the library website, and go to the database section. And in the database section, go to Ebsco, or Ebsco Host as its full name. What you do is you go into Ebsco Host and you find an article from a notable or scholarly and academic journal, a magazine, and in that magazine find an article ranging in the scope of modern U.S. history. Doesn't matter what the topic can be about the Native Americans, the captains of industry, again, Rockefeller, Carnegie, and then Edison, Ford, any of those guys, or if you want to get into more war topics such as World War II, World War I, Vietnam, Korea, the Cold War, of course more of a political conflict, and even into more modern themes such as terrorism, 9/11, Al-Qaeda, Osama, all of that stuff. Undoubtedly, you can find something along those lines. What I will do for you in the next probably about the second or third week of the semester, is make a separate video about how to use Ebsco host. So again, at this point in time, just start thinking about a topic, and then wait for me to come back in about a couple of weeks with an Ebsco video in which I'll give you more parameters in terms of what you need to do. But again, this is one of the this is due a little bit earlier in the semester, so this is due at the end of April the 24th. And this is and this, like the book review, is also going to be worth 15% of your class grade. Okay, I'll come back to the third writing assignment in just a second here. So if you're looking at the syllabus right now with me, you see something there pertaining to jazz. Let's hold off on that right now. Let me talk about these other elements first, and then I'll come back to this jazz thing. All right, podcast journal. What you do is, and this is very important, everybody. What you need to do right now is make sure you've got an account with iTunes. So obviously, those of you with Macs, that's no problem at all. You can get you have iTunes. You get iTunes, no problem. Those of you with PCs, you can download iTunes to your desktop or to your laptop. What you need to do is you go into the section called iTunes University, and you're going to go look for the topics, the iTunes U section pertaining to the school Harrisburg Area Community College. That's a community college in central Pennsylvania, where the capital of Harrisburg is located. There's a professor named by the name of Richard Moss who has a lot of podcasts in which he provides excellent commentary and discussion about things which relate to the class. So to make a long story short, you're going to listen to Professor Moss's podcast and then comment on them and then write about your impressions in the History Podcast Journal section. So if you look at the course menu off on the left, you see between where it says discussion forums and Grossmont LRC database list is something called History Podcast Journals. You're to go into that section and then type in your answers, your findings, your thoughts on these various podcasts in that area. So, in other words, write your answers, write your work inside Blackboard. It's up in the journal section. Don't send me any files in PDF, Word, or Pages format. Do that with the writing assignments, but journals is different. And what I'll do for you is, toward the end of the week, I'll give you another video. In fact, it's a video that I made for the 109 class in the fall semester. I'll have that video for you toward the end of the week, and that'll give you more insight in terms of what you need to do. So don't get too confused about the podcast journal stuff just yet. Watch my second video. Watch the video that I'll release for you in just a few days, and then look at that. If you get confused about what I say in that video, then definitely check with me, and I'll help clear things up for you. But again, the important point, everybody, is make sure you've got iTunes loaded on your computer. Whether, of course, with Mac, you have iTunes, no problem. But if you're using a PC, then definitely make sure you download the iTunes software to your computer. Or better yet, if you don't want to do that, then any of your friends who have Macs, borrow their computers. Just please make sure you've got access to iTunes for the rest of the semester. Okay, quizzes. Let me talk about the quizzes and the final. There's going to be 15 quizzes throughout the course of the semester. One quiz is going to be a practice quiz called the Prologue Quiz. It's just to give you a feel of things in terms of my style of questions. All these quizzes are multiple choice, so there's no true false, no short essay, no matching or identification. It's all multiple choice for all these quizzes. So once you finish taking the Prologue Quiz, then the quizzes after that, all of those count. So there'll be a quiz per week. You'll have a week in which to complete your answers. I mean, that is, you'll have a week time frame in which you can type in your answers. So you can take your quiz anytime from Friday night. That is after the day that I release the quiz, or until the following Thursday night, which is one day before the quiz period ends. So, in other words, you've got a 1 week window in which to take the quiz, but then once you start the quiz, then you have a 2.5 hour window to complete the quiz. So you understand what I'm saying, everybody? You have a 1 week time in which each quiz is open for you to take. But once you start the quiz, you've got 2.5 hours to complete the quiz. All the quizzes pertain to topics from Hubble America and other items like PowerPoint programs. All PowerPoint programs are in the course documents section. They're all in PowerPoint format, but if you want quizzes, I'm sorry, if you want the PowerPoints in PDF format, let me know. I'll modify them for you, and I'll make sure that PDF is available for you as well. Some of the PowerPoints are in PDF format. I changed some of those last semester, but again, if any of you want PDF format instead of PowerPoint, please let me know. Give me a heads up. Contact me in the messages for Professor section, and I'll fix that for you as soon as possible. Okay, but again, getting back to the quizzes, you have 15 throughout the course of the semester. Each quiz has 35 questions. The total points for each quiz is almost 100 points. I couldn't go from 35 to 100, so the closest I came was 99.75. So, or not. So I apologize for not getting to 100, but it's close enough to 100, so it'll count for our purposes. Each question counts as 2.85 points, almost 3 points. So the reason I have this number, I'll get to more of that in just a moment here. But of these 15 quizzes, again, 35 questions per each quiz. It's the average score of your best 13, which goes into the tabulation. So if you have if you have 13 quizzes in which your scores are in the 90s, one quiz is in the 80s, another quiz is in the 70s, the quizzes that have the 80s and the 70s total, those get tossed out. So it's the best 13 in which your scores are in the 90s. That goes into your final grade calculations, and your average quiz grade is going to be 15% of your class grade. That is the average of what you got on your 13 best quizzes. There's going to be a final exam. It's going to be comprehensive, and it's not going to be due until way at the end of the semester. In fact, almost into June. So Saturday, May 30th, that's a due date for the final exam. And there will be a video. I'll have more info about the final exam coming up in February. In fact, you'll have access to the PDF copy of the final exam way ahead of time. So at least 2 months before the final exam is due. So we're talking about the middle part of March. You'll have access to the final in PDF format, and the final is going to be worth 20% of your class grade. But again, more details about the final exam. I'll talk more about that in just coming up in next month, and then of course more so right around the spring break time frame is when I'll have the final ready for you in PDF format. Participation. Let me say a few things about that. Then I'll get into this jazz thing. Participation. There's going to be what I call a big three discussion forums. I'm going to have three main topics, which I feel have much relevance to U.S. History and culture. We're talking about immigration, of course, still a hot button issue. Plenty of news about that. I'm sure as the new Congress gets going, there's still going to be quite a bit of talk about that. So immigration, the U.S. auto industry, and also 1980s popular culture by way of music videos. Those will be the three topics in which I want you to give me your ideas, your thoughts, your perspectives on all of these. And I'll have more information about this. I'll have separate videos for these topics much later in the semester. We're not going to do these things until the very end. In fact, it's in May in which the due dates for these three topics are. So let's not worry too much about this right now, everybody. We'll talk more about this as we get closer. So roughly about after we come back from spring vacation into early April, then I'll give you more details in terms of what you need to do for these. There's not going to be any weekly discussion topics. I used to have that before in something called Town Hall, but I dropped Town Hall for this semester. I'll bring it back in some fashion, maybe in the fall or next spring. But I felt it kind of I wouldn't say outlived its usefulness, but I want to revamp it. I do that quite a bit with this class and all my classes. If I feel that something has been around for too long, needs to go back into the shop, so to speak, to get adjustments, to get modifications, to get tweaked, whatever, I do that, and that's what I did with Town Hall. So weekly discussion topics, I dropped those, but I kept the big three topics, and again, I'll talk more about all of that stuff right after we come back from the spring vacation. Okay, I know my video is running up close to half an hour, so let me finish off with this last assignment. The last new assignment, the big experiment I'm doing is there's going to be an assignment in the class based upon the series that the legendary filmmaker Ken Burns put together back in 2000. Burns, of course, as many of you know, he did the Civil War series back in 1990. Then he followed up with baseball in 1994. Jazz is the third of his trilogy, and we're going to watch the entire 10-part Jazz series. So starting in roughly about the fourth or fifth week, I'll have one installment for you to watch. The videos are quite long, so definitely spread out. Watch it in about 15-20 minute portions throughout the course of the week. I will have study questions, study guides for each video, and it's fortunate that you watch these videos because there is going to be questions about the program in the quizzes. So you definitely need to know about who a lot of these guys are, whether it's John Coltrane, whether it's Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, Stan Getz, Dave Brubeck. The list goes on and on. But don't worry, everybody. I'll be with you every step of the way as we get going on this. And at the end of watching all of these 10 parts, the writing assignment that you have to do is you have to compare and contrast two of the episodes. So it doesn't matter which two you choose from the 10 we're going to watch. You can compare themes from episode 1, which talks about Louis Armstrong's early days, growing up in New Orleans, getting his start in the 1920s, and maybe compare that to an episode in the 1950s that talks about Dave Brubeck, the rise of cool jazz, West Coast jazz, that type. So doesn't matter which two episodes of the 10 you choose. Your call. Just choose 2 of the 10. Write an essay in which you compare and contrast themes, ideas, topics, artists, styles, any other elements, whatever you wish, and then write an essay about that. Of course, all the parameters are listed in the assignment worksheet. And this thing is going to be due on Friday, May 8th. So about a week after we finish watching all 10 parts of the Jazz series, that's when your assignment for this is due. But I'll have more details about this in a separate video later on in the semester. In fact, once we get started with the Jazz series, coming up in about 3-4 weeks from now, I'll have a separate video in which I talk about all of that stuff. And then at the end of the syllabus is the assignment schedule, so all the key due dates. And then, of course, policies and grading structure, what everything is worth in terms of numbers. Keep in mind, I don't add up all your Blackboard points to try to figure out your grade. I use what's called a weighted total. I'll explain more about how that works when we get toward the end of the semester. But again, this is really important, and I can't emphasize this enough. Don't add up all your Blackboard points to try to figure out your grade. Every semester, it seems that I get individuals who try to challenge me because of the grades. But I have to remind them, what did I say about your grade? Did I say at the beginning that you add up all your points? You have to go back in the syllabus, and of course the individuals are mistaken. So please don't fall in that trap, everybody. Don't add up all your points. I'm using weighted total. I explain how that works in the syllabus, but I'll gladly say more about that as we get close toward the end of the semester. All right, I know this video ran pretty long. Oftentimes my introduction videos do run quite long, but I feel it's important to cover everything as much as possible. Whatever details I seem to miss, I'll gladly clarify. You can contact me by message from Professor in Blackboard, or post your concerns in the discussion board in the main forms, in the general form section, or go ahead and send me an email through my Grossmont mail. But I want everybody to get into the habit of using messages for Professor. Use that section to contact me. That's the easiest and fastest way in which I guarantee that I'll get back to you in a timely manner. When you write to me, I'll reply during the course of the regular school week within a 24-hour time frame. Usually it's in the mornings in which I reply to everybody. So if you send me a message, say on a Tuesday at 1:30 p.m., don't get mad if I don't write back to you by Tuesday at 11 p.m. I will 99% of the time get back to you the following Wednesday by 9 or 10 a.m. All the announcements will be posted between 8 and 10 a.m. There's no set time, but it's within that 2-hour block in the mornings from 8 to 10 in which the announcements are set. And I think I'll go ahead and stop talking here. But again, I hope this video covered all the bases about what the class is about. like I said, I'm really happy to be with you guys for these next few months. And I'm looking forward to trying new things like this jazz item. But I'm keeping a lot of the old elements from previous semesters to try to maintain the continuity I've had for the past few years with this class. All right, so that's it from here. That's it from my home headquarters. Best wishes to all of you this semester. Hope you guys like the class, and I'll talk to you guys again many more times as the semester unfolds.